it's Krista with Botanical Bird, and this week I want to talk about a specific plant genus, Calathea, and they kind of get a bad rep because they're higher maintenance than other plant genii. But like I think they have so much to offer. They have some of the most beautiful foliage in my opinion, and if you give them the right care, they can do wonderful things for you. So I have all of my different Calathea here. I have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 different Calathea, and I kind of just want to show you them, talk about them a little bit, and then explain their care. So first up, we'll go like small to big. We'll start with my saddest Calathea. This is my Calathea Rosie. Your Calathea Rosie hopefully does not look like this. Sometimes if I get a plant and I don't care for it well, I just let it kind of slowly die and then decide to not get a replacement. So I don't think I'll be getting another Rosie. Even so, plants within a specific genus have similar care requirements usually, but then specific plants within the genus can have kind of like they need more of this or less of that. And I think Rosie's maybe just one of those that I just shouldn't really take care of because maybe it's a little bit more picky. But when done right, they have a lot more leaves and they can be this really bright magenta, and then they go to like the soft pink with like a little bit of green. But I think this is one of those I didn't give it enough humidity sort of situations. So this is my Rosie. Next is one of my all-time favorite plants just ever. I think out of all of my plants, this Calathea macroiana is one of my absolute favorites. I love the little like patterns on the foliage, on the leaves. Oops, spilling dirt now. And I just find it so cute. The shape of the leaf I even like. They're kind of chubby, which I find very cute. And it's like a small, compact plant, which I think is really great. And the fun thing about Calathea is the backside of the leaves are often like red or purple. So that's kind of one of their signatures that you'll see often, not in every plant though. So that is my macroiana. Next, I have my Calathea medallion. And I like these. I think there's a bunch of different plants that are known as the peacock plant. I think this is one of them. To me, it looks like it could be peacock feathers. But this one just lost a leaf, but then it also produced a new leaf, and we're in December. So I don't know if they're winter growers or what, but we're letting it happen. So that is my medallion. Next, also an all-time favorite of mine, my Calathea lancifolia or rattlesnake Calathea, I think is stunning. This one has grown. This one is one of the less picky Calathea, and I'll be going into the care after I show you guys all these plants, but this one is a less picky one in my experience. So if you're looking to delve into Calathea, but you're kind of nervous, this one might be one to start with. So I think that's fun. And this one also has the purple red undersides of the leaves. Next, Calathea vittata. This is a replacement for one I used to have that I definitely killed. I think that one might have also been not enough watering or not enough humidity. This one's done just fine for me, and it's a lot bigger than the other one I had. So I like this one because it's not like your typical Calathea. Usually I feel like Calathea, they all have like beautiful markings on their leaves, but this one's just like really stripy, and I think that's pretty unique for a Calathea. I like that these leaves are very long and narrow, which is different. They don't have the red undersides, but beautiful nonetheless. Next, I'll show you my Calathea Beauty Star. And another fun fact about Calathea, you'll see these leaves are folded down, whereas maybe for my rattlesnake, they're kind of more up. So it doesn't happen for every single Calathea and or like different Calathea move more, but Calathea, their leaves track the sunlight significantly. So at night, their leaves come up and during the day they fold down, and you can't necessarily watch it happen. Sometimes you'll hear like a rustling and you're like, what was that? And then you see like one of the leaves bouncing and I'm like, oh, it must have moved. But this Calathea Beauty Star isn't as variegated as other ones. Like it almost looks like a Calathea ornata, honestly, in my opinion. It has the pink stripes, but then like on this front leaf, you can see a little bit more. A lot of times if they're given enough light, the middle of the leaf will lighten to a lighter green. So you can see that there's two little leaves coming out. Another fun fact about Calathea is when they produce new leaves, I think of them as like little leaf burritos because different plants push out growth in different ways. And theirs is to have like a little leaf burrito and then it unfurls. You can see, I don't know if you can tell right here, there's like a tiny, tiny little burrito coming out. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I can't really show you, but it'll like grow up and then unfurl and then it'll become one of these leaves. I feel like Calathea have a lot of fun facts about them. My Calathea Royal, which I recently got this. I think I got it from Gabriella Plants, I believe, online. And once again, it's the leaf patterns that always get me. I really like the two-tone color. I think that this soft green is not something that you see in a whole lot of plants, except for Calathea. And so I had to grab this one. Another red purple underside of the leaf with it, and it has not given me much problem. This one might be another one of those lower maintenance Calathea. I don't have it sitting in a pebble tray, but I do have all of them grouped by humidifiers, so that could have something to do with it too. This is a Calathea mosaica, and you can look on, let me give you a good leaf to see this one. I think this is also called like a network plant or something like that because of the patterns. This is one of those Calathea that I think they can all get pretty big, that it just takes a really long time, but this one just started out bigger for me, so I was pretty pumped. And you can tell a lot of my Calathea have some of the little brown crispy edges, and that's pretty typical because it's hard to keep them 100% happy, but we will get into how you can make them as happy as possible in just a sec here. My Calathea Cora, and this was one, like several of these plants, like I didn't know existed until I saw them online or saw them in a shop, and I like freaked out, and this is one of those. So I feel like it's almost like the Calathea Royal with the light green in the middle, but then it also has stripes. And then it's like the medallion almost, and some of the leaves have some pink in them, which I find, I don't know if you can really tell, which I find awesome. And the leaves are huge, and they have the red undersides, of course. But this is one that I have had, you can tell it has a giant stake in it, and then I've kind of tied it to the stake because sometimes it'll kind of lean out, or like some leaves have died. There's like some brown edging on some of them. So my Calathea aren't perfect, but I feel like in general, they're pretty happy. And you can see a new growth point coming out here. So that's pretty exciting. I'm not sure how long that'll take. That's not even the leaf yet, I don't think, so that one might take a little while. So that is all the Calathea I have. And now we can chat about the care. So Calathea are known as lower light plants. I feel like 99% of plants, or at least tropical house plants or tropical plants that we keep in our houses, like bright and direct light best. So if you're going for best practice and you have the ability, I think putting them in bright and direct light would do them good. Now, they will tolerate lower light. In my bedroom, it's really weird. I have like two windows that are in this corner. So I think they're northeast facing. It's not a lot of light. I would say like medium, indirect, maybe even low light. It'll get more morning light, so maybe it's more eastern than anything else. But I have them right up against the window, so I have them as close as possible. And then I have two humidifiers in my room, one of which points directly at all of these plants. And then I also have pebble trays under several of these plants that I feel like need extra humidity. And so let me show you the ones that I have. I have my Calathea medallion on a pebble tray. I left all the pebble trays where these plants usually sit, but I'll grab one to show you. So I have the medallion on a pebble tray. I have the batata on a pebble tray because of the one I previously killed. I think it needed more humidity. So I was like, I'm gonna do this one better. I have the Calathea lancifolia on a pebble tray, but part of that is because I don't have it near a humidifier, and so I want to give it the best chance possible. So this is more of like a, because you're not by a humidifier, I will instead give you a pebble tray. And then I also have the Cora on a pebble tray. I think this is one that kind of needs it just because I was losing a few leaves and I didn't want it to continue to lose leaves, and so I figured I'll give you more humidity. The Rosie I also have on a pebble tray, mostly because it's kind of like a rehab plant and I just want it to get better. I don't think it's doing much for it. I think this is just a plant that will eventually slowly die, unfortunately. the Silica on a pebble tray. And I think this is another one that needs it. I let this thing stay moist most of the time. Like when it starts to dry out just a little bit, I soak it again or I give it a good water. So the only ones I don't have on the pebble tray are the Cora, the Macoyana, and the Beauty Star. But the Beauty Star but all of them are near a humidifier. So I guess they're just known, they really like humidity. And if you don't have as much humidity, you'll get brown leaves or like brown tips, crispy tips on the leaves, which like for some people isn't a super big issue. For me, I just think it looks bad. So I'll go in and I'll kind of cut them, but then sometimes like the ends will yellow still. So I think it's just better if you prevent it from happening in the first place. And so high humidity is what they need. They like their soil to stay consistently moist, but not super soggy. So I use a hydrometer with them, which is just like a stick that you put in the soil and it measures the amount of water that's in the soil. And I wait for it to get like, so like let's say it's 0 to 10, I wait for it to get to like the lower third, like 1 to 3 if it's 1 out of 10 or something, and then I'll water it again. And so I'll water, I never have a schedule for watering. I check all of my plants once a week, but I couldn't tell you like I water this one once every week because I just have too many plants. So I'd say they probably all get water maybe once every week or every other week, just depending on what they need. You can just stick your finger in the soil, and when you feel that when it's starting to dry out, when it's not as moist, to water it again. Unlike lots of other plants, you don't want to let the soil dry out between waterings because you will get crispy leaves. Another important care tip for Calathea is that they need distilled water. And when I was first starting out on my plant journey, I was like, I drink water straight from the tap. There's no way I'm spending money on fancy water for my plants if I don't even drink fancy water. And then I started buying fancy water for my plants. It's because the chemicals and I think minerals in the tap water that we drink just don't mesh well with this plant. I think it's just more sensitive to them. And so if you give them tap water, they will get even more brown leaves. And I had a tragic incident with, I had a couple of Calathea White Fusion because they're just so beautiful, but I gave it tap water, or like I let the water sit out for a day, but it doesn't get rid of the minerals or the chemicals or something that is not great for this plant. I don't know that it does damage to it, but it definitely makes it look not as nice. And so it is a big recommendation to give them distilled water. And even in like ideally in the humidifiers, you'd put distilled water too. I don't, but most of my humidifiers have filters in them, so I'm hoping that's enough. But I go through like a gallon of water per humidifier per day, and I draw the line there. Like I will not be buying distilled water to put in the humidifier. But even for the pebble trays that I have, I'll put distilled water in those. And the idea behind the pebble tray is that it's giving your plants extra humidity, because as the water in the pebble tray evaporates, it will be going toward the foliage that is above it. And so it's just another way to increase the humidity around the space that your plants are in. So I think that's one of the main things is you have to be checking on them frequently to make sure that their soil doesn't dry out too much. They like to stay really humid and they can get brown tips pretty easy. So I think those are factors that make it that a lot of people don't like Calathea, but I think it's worth it because of how beautiful their leaves are. Don't get me wrong, I love tons of other plants, but I think I gravitate towards Calathea a lot of times just because of how stunning their foliage is. So I don't know, you kind of gotta like weigh the pros and cons there. All right, y'all, that is it for this video. If you have any questions about any of the Calathea that you saw or their care, please feel free to put them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Botanical Bird, and bird has a U in it, not an I. And follow my planty Instagram, which is at botanical_bird. And remember, I'm rooting for you. Bye.